What's going on, family? Yes, I know, I know. Don't get on me on social media. It's a little after 11. I got it. AM, still AM though, so we're pretty much on schedule. Welcome to the flagship, the Fighter Share Report Live. I'm Brew. This is the Badger. We got a good show coming. It's pretty much an all combat show. So I shouldn't hear anything about why you talking about soccer or football or badminton on a combat show. It's pretty much all combat today. So y'all should love it. Getting y'all ready for the weekend. Um, hey, look who's here today.
Yeah, man, I made it back. It was a long journey coming back from Texas. I finally made it back. I appear to be Rona free. Yesterday was a little tough. I think I need to get some rest. But I'm back now, bro. So, hey, man, today is the beginning of a formal show. So let's get the people something formal and get caught up on what's going on in combat sports.
Okay. I mean, you got anything else? We still got a minute left.
The weather sucks
It's
for
lovely.
me.
Oh my gosh, it's perfect.
I left here and it was cold.
Uh-huh.
And then while I was gone, it warmed up.
Uh-huh.
But where I was at, it was warm before I got there. While I was there, it was cold. So
Mhm.
when I left there, it was cold. But when I came back here, it was warm. But when I got back, it was cold. So it's been a miserable week and a half. I mean, I've just been cold everywhere I went. So hopefully, after today, we'll warm up a little bit, at least
I hope.
for the near foreseeable future.
I hope not.
Only to be cold again starting on Monday.
I'm
So,
loving it. I'm loving it. This is my kind of weather. I listen. I'm. It can stay in the 30s. I'm good with it. 20s, 30s. I'm good with it. It's
I
just
mean, when you got that natural insulation, bro, it's cool. I get it. For
no.
me,
I just real men come from the north, so we can deal with
oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. That sums it all up. Let's get to
we
it.
can deal with the cold. That's all it is.
Terrible.
Listen, UFC 256 coming up this Saturday. We went in depth on it a little bit Monday and Tuesday, and today, you get the formal points of view. It's going to be a good card, but it's going to be a slobber knocker in the main event. Davison Figueroa versus Mr. Morena, and I'm telling you,
Brandon.
it's going to be Brandon Morena. It's going to be some bad blood here, simply because think about how many times Brandon Morena's been number one contender and been overlooked. He's been
Right.
number one contender for a few fights now, and he hasn't
Mhm.
even made the main card. He's been fighting on the undercard or not fighting at all. And I mean, he played it cool. I understand, but I think when he gets in there with Davis and Figueroa, there's a whole lot of stuff gonna come unleashed. Will he win? Don't know. We don't pick that. But it's gonna be a good fight. Figueroa is just naturally like gorilla strong. And I think it's gonna be one of those fights that you look at and look back on and like, man, I'm glad I saw this.
He is, when you have some fighters that's just in a groove. Who's in a groove right now? Shakur Stevenson. We're gonna talk about him later. He's in a groove. Um, Caleb Plant is in the groove. I'm saying these names not because they're essentially the best fighters out there, which we can make a case for Shakur Stevenson definitely. Um, they just look that much better than whoever they fight, and a lot of that's matchmaking too. A lot of that is skill. Davison Figueroa just really seems to be that much better than everybody he fights. Every time I see him fight,
On
he's
a shit.
he's just a lot better than the guy he's fighting. Brandon Moreno brings a different level of savagery and athleticism to this fight, but I don't know if it matches up with Davison Figueroa, man. What we're seeing from him right now, we could be potentially watching some greatness here. You know what I'm talking about. When we watched his last fight, it was like, okay, this is competitive. Then it wasn't. And he just got a dude out of there. So I don't know. We're gonna see what Brandon Moreno brings to the table. He's talking a lot. He deserves this, like you say, he's been number one contender for some time, and they just been overlooking him.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to see Mexico versus Brazil. This is gonna be interesting. So yeah, I'm here for it, bro. I think it's gonna be a good one, like you said. But boy, Davison Figueroa is hot right now, bro.
Yeah, Figueredo is a tough guy, and you're right. He's clicking on all cylinders. Now Moreno's gonna have to keep that thing on the feet, keep it on the feet, and use because he's got really good striking ability. So I mean, just you use your striking, stay in your pocket, keep him on the end of your jab, and just wear him down. But if and he has good jiu-jitsu, but I'm just saying, I don't think it would fare well for Brandon Moreno if he ties up with Davison Figueiredo. I just don't think it would fare too well for him. I think he might want to keep this thing on the feet and stay any way possible. Stay away from that guillotine choke. he
Yeah,
was squeezing Buddy's face in the last fight and
yeah,
put him out.
yeah. Um,
Face.
I'm with you, man. I don't look. We're gonna learn a lot more about Brandon Moreno than we are about Davison Figueroa in this fight. And that's what it essentially comes down to. We already know what Davison Figueroa is going to do. We already know what his level is. Could it go up from here? Maybe. You know, that's what happens when you reach a certain level of greatness. I'm not trying to make the guy a Hall of Famer right now. What I'm saying is he's that hot right now. Like you said, he's clicking. Everything seems to be working for him. The outside of the gym and inside of the gym worlds are meshing for him. So we're gonna learn a lot about Mr. Moreno, and I hope he lives up to all the hype he's been talking. Because if not, it's not gonna end well for him because this ain't the guy to get in there messing around with.
I think it's gonna be a good fight. I really think it's gonna be a good fight. I think before it's over, we're gonna sit back and be glad we saw this one.
Yeah.
No. So listen, UFC is not the only show in town, bro. I know a lot of times it seems like it, but Bellator is quickly making some strides, and again they come on. Well, it's tomorrow night. I don't know why I put it in there as tonight. I'll change that. They come on Thursday night. Uh, Bellator, and their main is McFarlane versus Velasquez. And I know people are like, how many Velasquez fight in MMA? It's a lot of them. But this one is actually going to be a female headliner for Bellator, which I'm kind of looking forward to seeing. You have I don't want to pronounce the name wrong, Ilima McFarlane versus Juliana Velasquez. And this is for, you know what, they didn't say what title, but this is actually a title fight. So at least, you know, and then you have Magomedov. I don't think we're any related to Khabib versus Matthias Matos. And I've seen Matos fight. Another good fight. And again, these are Bellator fights. You can catch them on CBS Sports Network at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Prelims are going to start at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you have the CBS Sports Network, check your cable subscribers. It's going to be a good fight. You got Linton Vassell versus Rami Marks. Don't really know much about them. And then Davison Franklin versus Anthony Garrett. That's going to be your main card. I'm really looking forward to their their main event. Ilima McFarlane versus Juliana Velasquez. I think that's going to be a good fight. Been looking at promos on them, and you know how they build you up in promos. But I think it's going to be one of those fights where, you know, pretty evenly matched. I don't think it's going to be like a real dominant. You know, we don't call fights on here, but you know, I would give the nod to the champion in this one. But I think it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, you know, your range of expertise on these people far exceeds mine. I don't know much about any of these people that you named. I will say this though, Bellator is figuring it out. I think Bellator is figuring it out, and I think they're okay with being the Pepsi to the UFC's Coca-Cola. They're, you know, as long as their guys that are up and coming campaign for the UFC, and as long as the UFC guys are the kind of friends are falling off, go to Bellator, it's always going to be a two-way street of departures and arrivals. And if that's the name of the game, that's always going to benefit the UFC more. But I like Bellator. I like what they got going on. I like their pay structure. I like the sponsorship structure to it. They're trying to find their lane. They get to be a little gimmicky sometimes, a little WWE, and there's only enough room for one WWE and AEW. You don't need too many of those things going on. But I think Bellator is doing okay. I don't know much about these guys, these women or the men on this card. But for what it's worth, it's good to have something else going on. Like you said, UFC's not the only show in town. Bellator has carved out niche on Thursdays for their shows. So hopefully we get some good competitive fights. I'll definitely be tuned in because what else am I going to watch? A Thursday night football game full of teams that don't have half the roster because they got COVID. So yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be interesting because I know you compare UFC to Coke and you compare Bellator to Pepsi. Here's the funny thing about Pepsi. Pepsi may not have they may not be as big as Coke, but they produce a product that rivals Coke in most places, which is Mountain Dew. So you never know, they may catch lightning in a bottle from Bellator.
Yeah. Listen, that, and that's a very good analogy, and I'm glad you piggybacked off what I threw out there. But that's the way it's always going to be. Like, right? Bellator is always going to be a great place to go. You can make a lot of money, have a great career, but it's never going to really have the cachet of the UFC, and that is fine because there's enough people wanting to fight and beat each other up to go around. So, hey, let's support all these people. PFL, they just signed Clarissa Shields. The young lady Kayla Harrison is supposed to be an up-and-coming star for them. Maybe she'll move up to Bellator over to UFC. We don't know, but we support all these platforms because, hey, we like watching people bash other people's faces. So, hey, if Bellator's got it on Thursday night, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, bashing people's face in becomes, an American pastime. So, listen, Eddie Hearn says, Eddie Hearn says that the Saunders versus Andre fight will happen. We went into this a little bit yesterday, but I really wanted to come back and touch on it today. Listen, what's your opinion of that?
That I'll believe when I see it.
Okay. Seems like nobody wants to fight Andre, though. Nobody.
Listen, before we get into the nuts and bolts of these two combatants, these people, when I say these people, I'm referring to Eddie Herman Matchroom, they're scrambling right now. They're trying to get fights happening because a lot of fights are happening over here. The Zone lost its cash cow with Canelo, even though they're going to do one last dance here this weekend or next week.
Next week.
So, next week. So, we'll see when the fight agreement happens and we see the contractual agreement between Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andre, then I'll get a little bit more excited. Other than that, whenever I hear Eddie Hearn talk, show me the paperwork.
Yeah, I would like to see it because, like we've talked about, how many champions do not want to fight Demetrius Andre, and that he really is worthy of a good shot. So Saunders has a title. Looks like, was it the WBO? He was wearing something I saw recently.
Let me double check that. I think he does. I think he does have a belt, but I don't want to be 100% sure on that. I want to say that when he got suspended, they stripped him.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. So let me
posting pictures on Instagram within the last day or so with the WBO belt. So I don't.
Okay. Again, and he very well may.
And again, but when they strip you of your title, they don't come back and take the hardware they gave you. So,
yeah. Well, here's the more interesting thing about this. Nobody's going to order this fight except people that know Boo Boo and everybody in the UK. This will be a chess boxing match. It would be a lot of movement, a lot of angles, very few but select punches thrown. If you're not a boxing aficionado, if you don't love the sweet science, this is not going to be the fight for you. So please, don't get on here and talk about how terrible the fight was and how it was a waste of your money and waste of your time. I'm letting you know now. This is not going to be Rock'em Sock'em Robots. This is not going to be a boxer against a puncher or a brawler. Stylistically, you got two of the same guys, they're just in different bodies. Both of these guys are boxing technicians. They don't like to get hit. They're going to move, feint. They're going to give you a lot of different angles and things to look at. So unless you really enjoy the pure science, sweet science, you want to learn about the different things you're going to see on display in this fight, this is not the fight for you. It's not going to look like Danny Garcia, Earl Spence. You ain't going to see that much contact, okay? So I'm letting you know now, it's like watching paint dry. But there's an art to that too. So if you with it, tune in. If not,
let me make a note to self never to have you promote anything that I'm doing. Anything. Because, bro, like watching paint dry is not going to be that bad. I mean, if you tune in.
Have you seen either one of these guys fight?
Yes. If you look
how many of their fights have been exciting?
You're tuning in looking for like a flash knockout? No. But if you want to see some knockout,
period.
If you want to see some highly skilled individuals, yes.
Man, listen, stop trying to clean up what I said. I said what I said, and that's what it is. And you know
I'm not cleaning it up. When you're wrong, you're wrong. It's not like watching paint dry. It's not that bad. It's not going to be that bad. No.
Says the man that didn't find the Garcia Spence fight entertaining. But he's going to...
Wait a minute. When did you hear me say I didn't find the Garcia Spence fight entertaining?
Sunday.
I never said that. Watch the pod. The one time he was on here this week, watch the pod Sunday. I never said that. I never said it. I did not say it wasn't entertaining.
What did you say?
You tell me, because I'm trying to understand the context of what you're coming.
You had a problem with the fight. You said the fight wasn't competitive. That means it wasn't entertaining.
I said it wasn't as competitive as you were saying it was going to be.
Oh,
That's what I said. Okay. See?
All right.
I mean, now that Trump lost, who are you going to work for now? Now that Trump lost, who are you going to work for now?
So you're co-signing Boo Boo Andrade against Billy Joe Saunders?
I think it's going to be a skillful fight.
Are you co-signing the fight? Yes or no for the casuals? Yes or no?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, casuals, tune in to watch that fight. If you complain about it, at God Brew on Instagram.
Well, you're using your "yeah, I said it" time, so go ahead.
Oh, man, yeah, I said it. Look, I usually don't know what I'm going to talk about when we do these segments, and today is no different. So I'm going off the dome with this one. Okay. Shakur Stevenson is fighting this weekend. Why is this not being a national holiday? Why are we not celebrating this, right? Shakur Stevenson, Olympic darling. I think he won the silver. He got really emotional when he lost that fight. He turns around, fast tracks to the championship belt, beats up his girlfriend's brother, and now he's fighting for the second time during the pandemic. I'm excited to see Shakur Stevenson. I think because he fights the top rank, sometimes you kind of forget how great this young man can be. Brick City Stand Up, New Jersey, y'all got a real shot at having one of the pound-for-pound greats represent your state. I got a chance to meet this kid in person only once. You kind of fall in love with his infectious smile, but beneath that smile, you understand why Terrence Crawford and Andre Ward have taken him up under their wing. Because all those guys appear to be very affable, but there's something about when they get in the ring and that switch turns on. You can see it in their eyes. Shakur Stevenson is no different. Jay Prince, Andre Ward, Terrence Crawford, and anybody else that you respect in this fight business have been telling us for years now, even prior to this young man coming out of the Olympics, but definitely since he's been out and been making his way through the pro ranks, that we're actually witnessing greatness. This kid calls everybody. He's called out Tank. He's called out Garcia. He's called out guys bigger than him because he's saying he's not wasting any time. He's already won belts at 26. Now he's at 30 with a belt. Pretty soon he'll be at 35. So the rest of the world, make sure you tune in to watch this kid this weekend because you're in for a treat. He's boxing's rising star, but maybe one of the next big stars in boxing. Make sure y'all check him out on ESPN this Saturday. You won't be disappointed.
Nice. Brick City, Stand Up, Newark, New Jersey. Listen, talked about it a little bit yesterday. Yeah, I said it. It's still dealing with the future of the NCAA. It's amazing how you still hear little murmurs about schools not potentially, but actually putting searches out to see just how marketable, how profitable it will be for them to leave the NCAA. We talked about USC and UCLA, not small schools. We're talking major schools that pack major venues without COVID. They pack major venues. They have contracts with networks not tied directly in the NCAA. Schools like Texas, who have their own television network. These are schools who are now looking at possibly leaving the NCAA. Where will they go? Talks are either forming their own or possibly going down. And I say down because when you look at the level of competition, going into something like the NAIA. Sounds crazy, except these schools are now actively investigating the opportunity because they don't like what the NCAA is doing, how the NCAA has treated other schools, how the NCAA runs their playoff system. So don't be surprised if you see the NCAA in the next year and a half or less make the statement that, hey, we're expanding our playoff to 8 or 16 teams. Because they look at the money that Texas, USC, and UCLA bring in, and also that fourth school who's starting to look up in Eugene, Oregon. All right, bro.
So I mean, I'm trying to figure out is that a Pac-10 thing? Because I don't think you mentioned any other schools that were not out west.
Texas is not in the Pac-10, bro. They're in the Big 12.
No, but you started off talking about USC. So is Texas also looking into doing
Yes.
it? Because okay.
Mentioned Texas was also and Texas having their own network.
Yeah, they've had that for quite some time.
Yes.
So what's up with your school? They got their own network. Ohio State has their own. When they gonna jump on?
Penn State and Ohio, they're in the Big 10 network. They don't. Texas has their own.
Yeah, Longhorn Network. I know, but
So
Ohio State.
If they leave, they don't need permission from anybody else to take their network. It follows that. That's why I'm using them as an example because they've been actively searching as well as Oregon, and the Pac-12 feels like they've been left out for so many years unfairly. So that's why they're actively looking, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Look, shout out to Samantha Clark Jones who joined us today. Shout out to my dad, my wife, my daughter. Shout out to Fighter Share Nation. Shout out to all those who joined in yesterday. Appreciated y'all. So you, bro.
Yeah, no, I just think it's interesting that only Pac-12 schools in Texas talking about this when you clearly got some schools that could also write their own checks. So it'd be interesting to see how this thing progresses. Shout out to everybody in Fighter Share Nation for tuning in with us, man. It's holiday season. Spread a little joy. Let people know you care about them. Call them, send them a passenger pigeon or something. Make sure y'all tune in for us as we get a little unhinged tomorrow because this dude talking trash about because I ain't been here all week. So we're going to have a grudge tomorrow. Hey, tune in with us. We're here for it. We will see y'all tomorrow. Same time, same bat place, Fighter Nation. We're out of here. Peace.